I think there is no doubt that the word board is a problem. And I think even when we first gathered, we were trying to think of other names. We were trying to think of what could we call ourselves that wouldn't have that, the trappings, I guess, the corporate trappings. And I think this is always a problem in education, that corporate models, when they creep into education, don't translate very well and can often take us in directions we don't want to go. So I know with the Bishop David sort of constitution for school boards that it is an advisory group to the principal, and even that in one sense is almost like, well, you know, you're establishing policy and you're telling the principal about policy. Well, it doesn't need to be that either. I think it's thinking about, I mean, so often we talk about trying to have, and all of our schools have a vision and a mission, obviously, and have some sort of core statement, and they would have a set of values that they're working around. But the point is, who's driving that? And I think quite often principals can feel like, you know, they're driving it, and they might be driving it with their leadership team, or maybe through their parents and friends they're trying to drive some of that. But for me, like, to use that sort of notion of a network or a think tank or just a group that's sort of part of the leadership conversation as a parent body is really helpful. It was really hard to get people when they came to formation to let go of that notion of a board, to let go of that notion that it sort of has some authority. And so I can understand why some principals think, well, that's just another group I've got to turn up that's going to tell me how to do my job. Well, it isn't about that at all. I think it's a sort of group that you can go and test out ideas with. It's a sort of group that you can say, look, there seem to be a few issues of how we're communicating with parents. Are there better ways we can do this? Is there a way we can find out from parents what way would they like to communicate with us? So from my perspective, you know, an exercise we did last year with the board around communication was really helpful, because we all know we've been overrun by social media. We're wondering to ourselves, having gone to an email system with our newsletters, the question we were asking ourselves, do people want us to be on Facebook? Do they want us to have Twitter accounts? Do they want us to, you know, how do they want us to communicate? I mean, these are parents that are very tech savvy. The overwhelming response from parents was, no, we don't want the school to be on Facebook. We do not want to have Twitter accounts. We're quite happy having an email system and an opt-in, opt-out subscribe system that we can choose to be in or out of. So I think that was a surprise to a lot of us, but we wouldn't have found that out if as a school board we didn't sit down and think about how we're communicating and then get out and find out from the parents. And like we surveyed our families, we got 270 responses out of a possible 330 responses back through, you know, using a survey tool, online survey tool. So we had great data in which to make decisions, which we could then say back to the parents, well, look, this is what you've told us you want us to do. And then I guess the ownership for how communication works belongs to everybody. So it's not me thinking up some idea or, you know, trying to work that out on my own. So for me, those sorts of things which we've been able to do are incredibly helpful. So that's how I see the group running. I think if you can let go of your sort of idea about a board being some sort of governance group, because I think often it can get caught up in governance, and I know in the ministry system it is a governance group and they are in charge of budgets and all these sorts of things. Look, that's a completely different purpose, and I don't think that's what I see wrong about in terms of school boards.